special
as a
meeting.
separate,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll be able to warn
Yeah,
that.
I didn't realize quite some of the issues until we got into the debate, but it's not this.
Right.
It's not in here. It's something that we're gonna have to solve in those government documents.
Yeah.
And now that I see it,
Right.
And you should read some of those.
oh,
I'll send you some of them to look at because that'll tell you a lot more.
yeah. Oh, I looked at the box file last summer.
No, but I mean the new ones that
Oh, the
have
new ones?
the
Yeah.
annual evaluations. in it.
Right.
Annual evaluation stuff. Yeah, those are- Okay. We're ready.
You ready? Actually, all these, about.
Jim, I sent you an email asking.
I saw
you
it.
for- Okay, thank you.
I just didn't get back to my office, so during the break.
Look at these, some of the ones I said we talk about,
This one.
signed off on all of them. Take a look at them.
Got any new art, Bob?
Steve caught some.
He did, I know.
Yes, but I won't be buying any new art lately. I went to the foot doctor. She was charging me $8,900 to give me shots in my feet, so there won't be no art for a while now.
Yeah.
I know how you can get a 3.5% raise next year.
Oh, man.
Social Security gave me 2%.
What are they doing to your foot? What's wrong with your foot?
I don't think I need it. She says
Is it
steroids or something?
steroids, yeah. I think she's taking advantage of me.
Have you had any yet?
I had one 2.5 years ago. She has worn off now.
Did it hurt?
Well, no, but back then it was only like $5,000,
Seeing that in the living room.
and the insurance doesn't cover it.
Great.
Yeah, so
Fit in there.
I mean, I had
For
foot
like
surgery.
for $8,900
but that was like the.
so that's the art for a while. For my wife.
I had finger surgery, which costed
So if you have
$30.
anybody who wants to let me know. My
Mine
secretary is
just got-
leaving at the end of April. So we hired a girl on Monday.
Mine really doesn't.
Guess what? She didn't show up on Thursday.
I gotta go.
What'd you think, yell at her?
No, he just didn't come back.
What
is this
One
gun?
line,
Just
one
this,
bottle
uh,
line.
Not
It's
that.
literally one page bill.
I'll sign it.
I'll
Make sure,
I'll
yeah,
write you a
just.
check, cash it on.
Sign you up.
Yeah.
So I had 4 different faculty out there ask me when they're getting their raise.
Mhm. And when are they getting the
Everything.
raise?
On the way in.
Yeah,
I told him to come
here's
in
what you
here.
tell him. Give him my home phone number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're going to give them Jim
And ask
Gary's
Steve here how
home.
nice I can be, right?
Oh, yeah.
I don't have the home phone
I'm
number,
just
so I'm
one
safe.
wonderful guy. Yeah, call me.
I don't either. I just have my cell phone. And you can screen that one pretty well.
So the girl worked for me Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then she didn't show up on Thursdays. We emailed her, what's wrong, nothing. And then I started right back, so I guess you don't want the job, didn't hear back from her, so
Off you go.
I'm going, hey, great.
She goes to you. Wow.
Well, I told my secretary, don't send her a paycheck, wait until she asks for it. I ain't gonna pay her for the 3 days.
Cost you money to train her.
Yeah.
She owes you, she's reimbursing you for the
I
training
told my
costs.
wife, I said, you might not like this, but you're gonna go in and learn how to do e-filing.
Uh-oh.
That's not hard. Everything has to be e-filed now.
Now, look, you brought in somebody to work in your office and they left. And now you want to bring your wife in your office.
No, no.
I would be very careful with that. If you want to keep a wife.
She's only if I have an emergency. I didn't talk to her about this yet.
Jim, that's an interesting perception of.
I've been negotiating with him for a number of
Yeah.
years now.
Oh, boy.
But then she says, okay, we're gonna have a fundraiser for this person. I said, you gotta be kidding me. I said, look at the house. The house is in a wreck. Are you kidding me? You're gonna have a fundraiser and invite people we don't even know to our house? Didn't like that.
Well, you can do what we did. My wife and I, we just built a new house. It's easy.
We got too much stuff.
You do. You have an amazing
Well,
place.
I showed you this, didn't I?
I saw it last time.
I think I showed you the
neon
the picture.
artwork.
Yeah, the neon,
The cats,
yeah.
Yeah, that you just got?
I like
Just
that.
got, yeah. Man, that's like,
That was
Yeah.
great.
yeah. That's the girl running. I don't even know her.
Who is it?
Birdsong,
Oh, yeah.
Angela Birdsong.
She was,
Who was
Well, she came to the fundraiser for
at the end on your team?
a Congress lady. Who was ex-president of the university. I'm getting bad. Kathy, yeah, Kathy Cassidy. And I went to her fundraiser. No, tell my wife to give her a check. I'm a registered Republican, so. Well, I'm here to write a check. She's registered.
On the boat.
Yeah.
no, I met her.
Thank you very,
Bob?
very much.
I met her when we were at Marty's house.
So that's a good candidate.
I know my vote usually cancels my wife's vote.
Is, are the rest of these changes agreed to?
Yeah, I didn't sign each one. The whole thing,
Finally, we're getting Appendix B fixed.
yeah.
So we're gonna put USF ID.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah.
Appendix F. Still difficult.
What about this page here?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
There's still stuff in
I'm not
there.
really sure what that is.
Well, that's the
Signature page.
Right.
Yeah, I don't care, taking out the social security number.
Your numbers that we got.
Yeah, no. Appendix, second page,
No.
appendix B.
Oh.
Steve, you look so spiffy today.
Yeah, I know.
I don't, I didn't use that word, but I told him basically the same thing. Yeah, I like that suit.
Yeah, looks good in
We're in the class the other day and I said, hello, students.
Chair before.
Gay.
Yeah. That's flow chart. Let's just try not to have any appendix F. Try not to- Everybody motivated. to not do it.
Yeah.
I wasn't sending that
Well,
yet because we haven't got the salary article agreed to.
It's just a notification.
Oh, yeah, we don't have a date, we don't have a
Yeah.
date in there,
Yeah.
okay. Taking out all the dates.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's all right, I mean, I'm. We put in the dates. The problem is when you teach accounting, you know, what are you gonna say in there that's
Almost.
that survey says,
Oh, yeah.
Susan finds it very
Which
offensive.
is ridiculous.
Well,
We should-
1 + 1 = 2, how offensive is that? And then I'm gonna cover like labor law, and discrimination and things like that, well, they might find that offensive, I don't know if a student finds something offensive.
Two questions. Appendix F, you're not agreeing to. Be sure.
No, right.
And then the one on Title IX, under the being agreed.
I'll tell you, well, let me tell you the reason. What they're telling me is it takes so long to go through Title IX, it's so far down the road, even if you file agreements at that time,
Yeah.
there's too much time has elapsed, so that's,
Is that based on a recent experience? Because we changed the entire office, the management organization of that office.
When did you change it?
In 2020 it was announced and it was effective just this last year, 2020.
That was when they moved it to compliance.
Yeah, it's been moved to compliance.
See, I don't know, because I know that we did due diligence, because Karen, me, Debbie, 3 or 4 of us, the whole grievance team met with, what is it, Maggie?
Maggie,
Maggie.
couldn't have been that diligent.
No,
Her name.
we met and we had 3 or
That's
4
not really a fair statement.
2-3 hour conversations, about the rules and how the process worked and stuff.
3 meetings.
So I don't really know. What did you see was an issue?
Well, what she said made sense, but we told her it wasn't working the way she told us, and she seemed surprised. Karen, am I right on that?
That's true.
We told her it wasn't working that way, and she didn't tell us, yes, it is. She said, really?
So I don't know. I mean, I guess it's unknown at this point. Exactly.
think that office is functioning well. They have challenges, with complex set of regulations. Federal regulations, we have to follow them.
Well, since I'm dealing with a lot of these issues. In the past, it has taken very long, and another issue is that, from what I have seen is that kind of, we may make recommendations with the university follows and it's up to them. It can take long. There is no time limit on this here, on how long the Title IX process can take. And then another thing is if the university or if Title IX does not decide in favor of the complaining faculty member, then they can file a grievance, but you will already have seen all the evidence. And I don't really like to give them the evidence if I decide to file a grievance.
Yeah, that's not the purpose of the Title IX. It's not. There's a hearing in the Title IX process. I don't know if you look at that in terms of what the advisors do, but it's designed to get to all the facts. So if you do not want to share the facts, you would not be well served by that process.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we have some faculty who really don't want to go through Title IX.
Yeah, well, that will be on, well, why don't we hear your salary counter?
Oh, we were waiting to hear yours.
You don't have that counter for us?
No. We were hoping you'd come back with something better.
Something better,
Mm-hmm.
like what?
Well, that's what we're waiting to hear.
Gave you our proposal.
Okay, it's not, we can't get it ratified. We can't get that ratified. I mean, the problem, as I said before, it was 1.5 and 2 in year 2. And because we delayed so long in bargaining, year 2 is, so you haven't given us any more than the original proposal. Plus now we found out about all the money the university is getting, and we feel they're in a position, right, to go ahead and give us more. And we certainly deserve more. I mean, with the inflation going the way it is and everything, and no raise since November of 2019.
So you're still at 4% for the second year, and you're still at the compression version proposal. Is that right?
Well, no, I wouldn't hear it. We would have capped that at a certain amount. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I mean, the compression
proposal
inversion's
on
not open-ended.
What's your proposal?
Okay, I'm trying to remember exactly what we wrote last time.
Well,
But,
let's look at it.
okay, because we had a formula that said that if you were below some 65%, wasn't it? And then there would be a raise, and if you were below 80%, there would be a different
Well, it
raise.
was 6,000 and 3,000.
6,000 and 3,000, even though we could adjust those numbers. And it was built on the OSU formula. But that was just because we needed a benchmark to identify the really low paid people. Now, yes, we could cap that to 0.5% of 80 hours, or whatever it is, or whatever, 0.5% or something, or percent or something. There could be, so that we could figure a maximum number it would be.
In any given.
I don't know on a given year, I don't know how many people it would involve. If the raises were not 3,000, 6,000, maybe they'd be 2,000, 4,000, if there wasn't enough money to do 3,000 and 6,000. You might.
I don't think there's that many people below 65.
I don't think there's that many people. We actually don't think it's as many people as maybe y'all think it is, but I don't know. We'd have to see. I think it would affect those people who are the lowest paid the most. And they might be lowest paid because they're on regional campus, but there may be other reasons. It could be some other hiring or pool problem that we are unaware of, but it would affect those. And then we could tell our membership, we're doing something about compression inversion.
Well, let's just conceptually, what if we were to, again, we haven't discussed it here internally, but what if we were to say that, a certain percentage, 15% or so of the discretionary amount would, if practicable, be earmarked for compression inversion issues?
We talked about that possibility. We talked about saying an
But what we talked
ADI,
about was,
but-
had to be guaranteed,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
impracticable.
And we weren't.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't work at all.
No.
So
Well-
we won't even go there.
No.
Okay.
We want some guaranteed
All right.
amount.
We need to, look, what we're asking for is clarification on where the dispute is, okay?
Mhm.
So that's all I'm asking. So, you got the 4%, we're part on that versus our 3.5. The compression inversion, which we still, I think we need more clarification from y'all
Mhm.
at some point on what your proposal is.
What is
Well, we
it
gave you a
okay?
proposal
If it's
before.
$2,000 for everybody who's
That's
satisfactory or
fine.
better, that's fine.
Right.
Like 2,500, but we said we went down to 2,000.
So we're okay with the 2,000 if
Yeah.
everybody gets that. If they
Right.
get satisfied 3.0 or
3%,
better. But we're still far apart on the difference between the second year and you're not agreeing to a third year,
Not,
the 2%?
we could agree to a third year, maybe if it was 3%,
What?
3% the third year. And 4% now, rather than 3.5, 4%, 3% the third year. We do something on compression inversion, something.
And the 4% that you're proposing in the second year would be depending upon your evaluation on that proposal that we have. Particularly on your score.
If we could do something with it.
Well,
With
merit. So
compression.
it's a merit.
One thing on merit is if you don't multiply it times, if you said, okay, let's say we get a pot. The pot is
Mhm.
that would affect our opinion on compression inversion. If the pot and the department was so much money, then you add up all the points and you divide it, and that's how much money you get. Because that way you would not be favoring the high-paid people. I understand that. And you got 1% ADI, you could use that, part of that 1% ADI to go ahead and give to those people who you feel should be rewarded higher, because they would not get the money if it was just total points, because you could get somebody could get the same number of points making 100,000 as a person who's 200,000, but based on that division, they would get the same amount of money. $100,000 people would get the same as 200,000 people if you based it totally on evaluation.
You know,
I understand that.
Yes, thank you. Have you seen how we proposed it in
Right.
that B, in the subsection B?
I'm gonna have to look and see,
So
yeah, because I did read
I
it
need for
before.
you to also, this is my copy, so if you don't mind just initialing,
Yeah,
where I initialed on here, this is yours.
so
I'm giving yours back.
right, so I know which ones to
And
initial.
before you leave today, we'll get an initial.
I'll leave-
Let's look now
Okay.
first, before we do that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
23, and it's on page 51 of our proposal.
Right,
Just want to make sure. So we have in subpart B, we talk about the scoring. And we talk about the raw score of each eligible employee shall be multiplied by the base. Are we okay on this language? Is what my question is. Assuming we had the
I'm using the
percentage
points and the
agreement,
percent.
is this formula okay?
We've done that formula before, haven't we?
Right.
yeah, we've used
Yeah,
this
I'm just
formula.
asking, so
Wait a minute, this is the
we all
merit
did
formula?
Work,
Yeah.
though.
This is the new merit formula,
This merit formula
This
based on the
merit
So
formula.
basically, if
based
you
on
have
percentage, it's new. The old
5 people in
merit
the
formula
department.
was cash
They
value,
get
this one is percentage.
2 people get
So it's
4s,
new.
Oh, this
2
is
people
new.
get
because of the percent.
3s, let's say 3 people get 3s and 2 people get 4s. Okay, that's 5 people in the department. When it 9, that's 9,
Yeah.
13,
So
and
we-
17. So if you divide
Yeah.
that,
So
let's
you
say
want-
you have
I wrote
$17,000,
that to make it
right? And you have 17 points, and each point gets $1,000. So you got 4,000, 4,000, 3, 3, and 3. Now you see, these people that get 4, you might have a person that has $200,000 salary, they're only gonna get $1,700. And somebody with a 4 that maybe has 100,000 will get $1,700. So therefore, that's how that would work, though, when you just use, right, am I right about this? If you just use B and you add up all the points and divide them that way. It's only when you get to that next paragraph, when you start going in, multiplying it times the base salary, the person has a higher salary. If, in other words, they could get a 3. And somebody with a lower salary can get a 4, but the people that got a 3 with a higher salary get more money than the people with a 4. That's the way that would work. And that perpetuates the problem that you're talking about in compression inversion. If we don't get,
In each part, just shall be
Using
added
this
together
reason.
for all employees of Yeah, I would, you said this is the same formula we talked about a few years ago, right?
This is the formula I discussed with Professor Smith
Yeah.
uh,
With Dwayne, yeah.
to address the problem of highly paid senior researchers who are getting lower percentage raises than other
Right,
faculty. Was not intended to address things like compression and inversion.
See, well, number one, we want the money, some reasons for this, but, everybody isn't a department, right?
yes, there are some that don't have a department or department rating,
Right.
but, I mean, they might, but it's,
So
all of it's been changing.
We'd rather have the language just that the employee gets the $2,000, rather than putting it as a department. I'm not sure there's any. I know
Well-
that we've done in the past, but I don't see any reason why that has to be done.
Right.
Why you can't say you get an employee with a 3 or better gets a $2,000 bonus. Boom, that's it.
You gotta take the department in or appropriate unit. Not to exclude people
Right, a department or appropriate unit is fine.
or equivalent.
Right. But as far as, I don't really know that the formula would be that much different than what we're doing last time. I mean, as far as, right, I don't know that this would make huge differences between this formula and the formula we used last time. Do you think it would?
If you had an unusually low salary or unusually high salary, it makes a substantial difference. If you're close to the mean, it makes little difference.
Okay, so what would it do if you had an unusually low or high?
If you had
salary?
an unusually low salary, you would get an unusually high raise. If you had an unusually high salary, you would get an unusually low raise.
Low raise.
That was the way the old system works. Now it's changed. Now it's changed so that everyone gets the same percentage if depending solely on
Given
their
the same
evaluation.
score. Right, okay, so, okay.
Yeah, and we had discussions about that a couple of years ago, because
Right.
that's what everybody wanted a couple of years
Right.
I'm trying to remember the
Because that
conversations
was when
from a
we
few
were given
years
just
ago,
the
right?
set amounts, then it was a larger proportion. of
Because it
lower
was
people, so-
upsetting
right.
a senior, like I said before, it was upsetting, let's say, a full professor that there was, let's say, a 2% raise and they only got a 1%.
Of their
Whereas an
right.
instructor in the same department would get effectively maybe a 3%
3%,
raise
right,
instead of a
yes.
2. And that was causing a lot of issues.
And so this keeps everyone at percent,
We just added.
if they have the same evaluation, same percent.
Yeah, we added the provision that says the raw score of each eligible employee shall be multiplied by the base salary of the employee produced. That's new.
Yeah.
That's new. That,
Yeah.
you know, because the formula is the same except for that. We
Right.
added that in there. And
That's
then,
what that does.
then the only other thing we did is add the word, each employee's adjusted score. We added the word adjusted. So
Based on the
it's the
FTE.
same formula except for the raw score of each employee shall be multiplied by the base salary of the employees to produce. That's the only change we,
Right.
Okay.
But we said before, then that perpetuates the compression inversion problem.
So if we reverted back to the
I don't know,
older
I think
language,
it does, the old language, I don't think solves it either, though.
Neither one
We
of
have a
them,
compression and inversion
neither one of
problem.
those
We need to
is
address it
solving the real
separately.
compression inversion problem.
No, wait a minute. What I just said here, I'll give you an example. If you have 5 people in the department, 4, 4, 3, 3, and 3, and you add those, that's 17 points, all right? And let's say you have $17,000, and each point is worth $1,000. I mean, I'm sorry, it's worth $1,700, right? But you might, the 2 people that got 4s, one of them making 200,000, one may be making 100,000, but they're both going to get the same amount of money.
Right.
So therefore, you do not then perpetuate compression
No.
inversion.
And the old one, but yes,
Oh,
it
the
does,
old one.
because if you're underpaid, you're still underpaid. We're not comparing to the highest paid person in the department, we're comparing to the average OSU. So the problem
No,
is
no.
people are underpaid, not relative to,
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
mean, we don't want the people at the top, I don't think, to say, well, you guys don't get to keep up with inflation, only we do. I think we want to go after the people who are
The-
really underpaid and pay them.
right. This formula doesn't bother me compared to the other one so much. The thing that we did in the compression inversion formula that's different is we did have a time variable. It said that if you had been at the university 15, 20, 30 years, then wasn't that in there?
Yes, 10,
Yeah,
it was
and
10.
it was 10 years or something. So in other words, the trigger was to be considered that
Right,
you had been at the university a long time and your salary
Was low.
was
So-
a very low percentage compared to
the old one, I think, just brings everybody to the middle. It
Right.
doesn't take care of compression.
But what we were doing is we were saying, if you've been here a while and you've been part of a small pool, maybe you're on a regional campus, maybe there's some other reason you're in the small pool. And so your merit raises, even if you've had 5s and 4s and done a good job, you still further and further behind, and that has occurred over time. That is what we're talking about, where the trigger is you've been at USF a long while and your salary is low. If those two triggers both
Right.
go off, then you would be eligible for the compression rates.
Well, what I would say is that the $19 million we have on the table right now,
Yeah.
as big as it is, if it were only used to
For
solve
compression.
compression,
It still wouldn't
it
solve it.
wouldn't do it.
Oh,
So-
I don't think it's going to.
So what's
Yeah.
But
gonna
it
have
does
to
help
happen
morale.
for compression is
Yeah.
going to be some kind, and it's underway, is some kind of plan or program coming from the president's office to do
Okay.
that.
But
And
I
that
don't,
is underway.
I don't understand what you're saying. I'm
Yeah.
saying, if you have somebody in the department who's making $200,000, you have somebody making 100,000,
Mhm.
and they both get 4s, okay?
Mhm.
They're both gonna get the same amount of money.
Right.
And so therefore, that is not then furthering compression and inversion, because you had the low-paid people getting the same amount of money as the high-paid people. It's totally based on performance, totally based on performance. And that's what happens when you take up the scores, add them up. Like I said, 17,000, that's $1,000 a point, that's 4,000. So you might be making 200,000, you get 4, make 100,000, you get 4. So but when you start to go ahead and multiply it times the base salary things, that's when you get into
That's
compression
this-
inversion
that's
problem,
this.
right?
All right, let me ask another question. Thank you for expressing that, Bob, that makes sense.
Okay.
I'm just trying to flesh out where the differences are. So that, what if, again, this is not a proposal yet, this is if you could, if it was situated, if the university were to agree to make our 3.5% for the second year, which is a base increase, based on a 3.0 or better, and not this formula, but it would be based on a 3 it's still merit, because it's got to be based,
Right.
would that make a difference in getting this deal?
What you say, if anybody that got,
The average or above.
Not
Just big
applying
three.
the formula.
Instead of doing
3
the
or
formula,
above.
just 3, you get the percentage.
if you get 3 or better, you get
You
a
get the
percent of your
3.
salary,
You
Right,
get, you get
right.
3.5% base.
of your salary,
Right.
Yeah, of your base salary.
which
Which is.
further compression inversion, though, like what I said.
Well, I don't think we should
Well-
try to fix it with raises. I think we should.
Yeah, I
fix it
just don't,
separately.
yeah, these kinds of raises aren't the way to fix the
Right.
compression inversion.
That's going to take
Merit
a,
raises.
that's going to take something.
Yeah, we're just gonna take this take months to get
If
that.
we take out the paragraph,
And just make it a 3, I like that.
make it a 3, and then.
If we were to do that,
everybody's
could we get a
have-
deal?
Then you're
That'd
not
be-
making the problem worse.
more people
because
would
if you
have-
apply
Right,
the
it's gonna make it the
formula,
same.
It's gonna make.
Right, we're on the
it
same.
worse.
You're just
Right.
continuing the same.
But no, but at least it doesn't add to it if we just take out the formula and make it a 3. If you're satisfactory performance, you get the raise.
If we were to do that, would that get us?
We just need to know, if we don't get any money for compression inversion, are you gonna be able to get this thing signed?
Yeah, but didn't you just?
I know it's a big problem.
Jim, didn't you just say that the president's office is?
We can't solve the
working on-
compression.
They are.
Right.
It's just
No, I
not
know we
gonna
can't
work.
solve
I
it.
can't
It's
tell
not
you
gonna
We're
where-
not going.
Where they are.
I don't
but
think
it's
we're gonna
it's-
solve
We
it.
can't solve it.
I'm
To help
trying
it, to-
I'm trying to acknowledge to our members something so that they would, okay,
That we care, and we're doing
we're
something.
trying, I mean, yeah, you're right,
Nothing
though.
else, it's
It's
morale.
not a total solution.
We
Yes.
hear, look, we've
Yeah.
heard y'all throughout these negotiations.
Yeah.
We hear you on this. This is something internally, there's gotta be something that we look at. But to get this in agreement, if we were to do this, the 3.5 on a 3.0, you get a 3.0 or better
Can we get 4 on the
evaluation. You don't have this formula. No, not 4. 3.5.
It'll apply to the 2% in the third year. So do you would apply to the 2% in the third year as well?
Yes.
The 3 would or the formula?
The
The
form.
three, the three.
So we do the 3 across.
Yeah.
So, but for the rest of the contract, we
Yeah.
have just no merit
Well,
formula, just
merit,
3.
is
Merit as
in that you have a
satisfactory.
3.
Well, it would certainly make it easier for us to continually explain to the faculty how they got their raises over
Well,
and over.
what
and
if
over.
we took 0.5%
I
from
don't-
ADI and we got it, instead of the 3 point, instead of 4, we take that other 0.5 that we
We
want.
gotta sell it to our
And
DOT.
it's a 1%.
Yeah.
Right.
And 1% of the money is going for compression inversion under some kind of formula we have.
Yeah, that's gonna take some time to develop. We don't mind announcing that we're looking at, we already did this for staff. At the same time we
Right.
talked about this agreement, we could say we're looking at this for faculty. But it's gonna be a lot of variables in that, because there's a lot that goes into why people get paid differently. Sometimes it's compression inversion, sometimes it's discrimination.
Well, in academia, yeah.
Sometimes it's poor performance, sometimes, you know.
But in
maybe a
academia,
combination.
that's a
I
common
think one
problem.
time we did this, we had a
Compression.
3.5 to get compression inversion. I think, did we have a 3.5? You couldn't get it for just a 3. You had to have an overall average of 3.
Yeah, it's.
Well, let's keep it.
But
Well,
the
we did it for
OSU
staff.
thing
Let's do it.
didn't come out of nowhere. What happened was that I read a report 3 or 4 years ago where FGCU had a similar argument, and they hired a bunch of professional consultants for $100,000 or whatever it was. And they came in and they did a study of everybody, all their faculty for a couple of years. And they were the ones that said, you know, the easiest way to deal with this is to put a time limit on it and an OSU number. And then put some whatever dollars. And I was going, okay, we don't need to spend $100,000
Right, we can just use that.
for whatever 30,000 for the consultants, because their conclusion was pretty obvious in a way. They put a time trigger on it, how many years you had been there, and then they put a trigger on it at what level you were willing to add some money. No, it did not bring everybody up to where they should have been or something like that, because of dynamics in the marketplace and because of dynamics when the changing in the departments and stuff. But it certainly made the faculty happy. It made them, some of them would say, oh, I got a $2,000 raise. Now, maybe they should have gotten a $10,000
I got
raise,
20.
but they were happy that they got.
After I was there 3
Yeah.
years, I got 20.
Yeah.
Because that's how much the pay of this accounting professor has had gone up in 3 years.
Yeah. So, so I guess I'm just saying it's not a completely just made up thing. It's something that we were getting from another institution where they had studied it
And pay a lot of money for that
and
study.
paid a lot of money to study it for these outside consultants. My guess is that when we study our faculty, yes, you're right. We're going to have people complain about equity and diversity. We're going to have people complaining about market changes.
But this would still get
Yeah.
those people, even if it was because of some other
It
reason,
might.
if they're underpaid.
It might.
We're gonna need to look at that.
Okay.
And we're gonna need to make sure that the program has
Okay.
the right variables, like when we look at the staff equity, which is still ongoing.
Okay.
But that's an involved process, which we're willing to commit to. We can't put $1 to it. We don't know what the formula will be. This is a good deal now, though.
Mhm.
And if we're able to get a deal and we can have a joint announcement, then we'll say that we're committed to looking at this issue. And you can see the language.
But you definitely announce it.
I mean, I hear what you're
Yeah.
saying. I understand what you're
We care
saying.
about
It
this
is
issue.
complex.
I've heard leaders on your campus talking about this issue.
Okay.
Okay, and
But nothing's moved.
well, there's also been no discretion to do it.
Yeah.
We are hoping that things work out in legislative session. Nothing's been signed. So there's been nothing to do anything with it.
Well, you saw the survey.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's,
I don't know.
that's what, I don't know, that's what yeah, I mean, we're reacting to what our people are telling us.
Sometimes you just have to say, this is the best deal we could get.
Right.
And then you leave it to your membership, because that's all we can do with our board. This is the best deal. We think it helps the most faculty now. And think that our board is going to go with it. I believe if we told our board that, they would go with it. I can't speak for your membership. But that's what we would tell our board.
I know the faculty success group has been addressing the the pay issues you're talking about, and trying to even figure out what that is, what does it mean, is hard enough, you know? And then we really do believe in the fact success group that it's going to take some kind of real program and study, probably going to have to issue from the president's office to figure it out. And maybe they will have to hire consultants, or maybe they'll have to just take a really deep dive, you know, through HR or something. But, you know, when you have such variation in salary, it gets really hard to calculate. I mean, if you have this much variation in one department and this much variation in another department, and they all overlap, how do you, you know, you can't use means
Unless you,
or standard
especially
deviations.
given that we want to join.
So there's going to have to be
Well, I think
a
that's,
long-term solution, but
that's
there's
why
not
the
going to be something.
consultants were just going by the you know,
Yeah.
the discipline on the national averages, you know, but just as a benchmark.
Yeah.
And stuff.
But I really do believe that the university is going to do something about it ever since consolidation happened. They've been talking about it. They started with the staff. And have they done the staff one yet?
Mhm.
And they acted on it. So the whole deal was that the next group they were going to look at was going to be the faculty. So that's where we're at. But I don't think right now we can do much. We don't have the authority to say much right now.
I got you.
You know, that's just isn't, I don't think that's in the books right now.
Well, I know, you know, I guess as far as the time pressure is concerned, I don't know everybody else's situations here. In my department, we've lost 4 faculty in 2 years, and all 4 were young hotshots. And all of them were making good salaries. A couple of them were not even tenured yet, and they were making salaries that were higher than mine. And they were getting offers and they left.
It happened in my department.
And
too.
one of them
Happens all the time.
one of them just left in January, you know, just right in mid-year. And I was going like, wow, that was pretty cool. So I know I got an email from one of our senior faculty yesterday or day before, and they were asking for a line, and they said in their 30 years that they had been here, they hadn't seen anything like that, you know, that great diaspora or whatever people. So I would just say it's one thing that we're getting from our surveys, but we're also seeing at different levels, depending on how competitive the department is, we're seeing people leave with their feet. You know?
And we don't know
And-
how much of that is
Yeah.
because of COVID and how much
Right.
of that is due to
We don't know.
real unhappiness.
So
with USF.
I do think it is a issue for this, but that whether or not we can get people to go for this contract and vote for it, I'm absolutely not absolutely.
Well, this will
sure,
put $2,000 in their pocket
which is good.
by the end of this academic year.
Yeah.
And it'll get 3.5% next academic year and 2% the following academic.
Right.
So that's $19 million in their pockets. And I think that's pretty votable.
Did I ever get the signing sheet today from y'all? I don't really
Yes.
know.
What does that say?
Everybody sign their changes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is,
Yeah.
This is my one.
this is yours.
Sonia, Deborah.
This is my one.
Steve Permute.
Didn't
He
sign.
signed on your side.
When I see USF.
We're gonna give it
like.
I got it. I got it.
Titles look alike. So I figured I'd find where the money was.
We could sell the 60 million.
Now, here's-
there.
Thank you.
Back in this building.
I'm losing copies, this my copy or my copy. But you need to get the rest of
This
these
is
signed.
interesting.
and then-
34%, well, it's 10%, 15% certified.
Yeah, what happens to that?
Yeah, and we just got this yesterday. This was our latest spreadsheet of the money. And it
Can I
has
sign those
USF at
copies
34%, but
on
it's
this,
got
John?
St. Pete and
There's
Sarasota
something
getting
you
another
can
10
sign.
and
I
15.
need you to sign my copy.
You need to look.
And if
I
there's,
don't know anything about
and you
it.
know what, if the
Okay.
problem's on
No,
those
this is
campuses,
mine, but
That's-
you
why
need to look
can't
with
That's
they-
the money
because I
we
know
got.
they get
That's what
separate
from-
our people in Tallahassee told
This
us
is my copy for you to
is the
sign.
budget.
I'll
that-
sign everywhere for you.
Um,
Not here, look at this again.
Yes, sir.
Y'all can keep that if you want.
Oh, that's okay. I just don't know what it means.
But they get additional funding.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah,
like USF.
Sprouse and Brandis.
So what did they do with that?
Gave
Like,
St. Pete and
Why isn't
Sarasota a little
USF
bit
St.
more.
Pete giving us some money to address this since a
I
lot of it's in that campus?
We didn't agree to I think if they
You know,
have discretionary authority.
It has
we
to
could
be, the
use some of
college
money.
has to be.
Okay.
We'll let you tell discretionary authority for this year and next
You know,
year.
we're not agreeing.
I can't speak for
Right.
them, but they will.
Bob, y'all made those changes after we signed it?
No, we didn't sign that yet. I signed it.
Okay, well, let Jim address your question.
So the reason we added the college to it is because we have colleges
Right.
that don't have departments, and we have at least one college, your college, that does it centrally. They have the same expectations for all
But we'd
of
like
the
to change that.
departments.
Yeah, but we're not happy.
Yeah, but if I take it out of here, then
College.
we can't agree to it. We've got to have it in to agree to it.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. Sure, go ahead.
So we can't put in there the lowest organization.
We have,
I can't agree to that. I have to, go ahead, sorry, Steve.
We have an issue that affects at least two people at the table. Is that we have been voluntarily removed from our department for now 15 to 16 years. We are always asking the question is, do we have a chair or do we not? We are being treated somewhat like we do because we are getting paid. But
That's what we're talking
according to the College of Education Constitution, at this point in time, it says if you are not a member of the department, you cannot compete for a leadership role in the College of Education. So Dr. Shapiro and I are in the College of Education, as full-time faculty members, but we cannot run for office in the governance operation of our university. So in other words, Arthur and I have no ability to express our voice by vote, express our ideas, except by a non-voting outside member of the college. If I read this to its fullest extent, it says, if you are in a department, this is what happens. It doesn't say if you're not in the department, what happens, even if you're a full faculty. This has been an ongoing issue. Jim, you're aware of this issue for a while. It's a college issue, it's a university issue. We are outside of a department, but we're getting paid like we are in a department. Does that mean we have a department chair? If we have a department chair, where are we dealing with the rights of faculty in terms of the contract in general to participate in the governance of our college and the governance of our university? So our commentary is, as I read this, and it talks about each department or college, the college may say, you're not in the department. As a result of that, we're not going to include you any longer in our pay schedule. We're not going to allow you any longer, but we're going to force you again not to be able to vote on governance matters. Now, is that what this can say? I can read it that way. Is that the intent? So you would take Dr. Shapiro and I specifically out of forever the governance momentum of the college. At the same time, we're being treated like a chair in terms of pay. So now, are we in the department or are we not in the department? And we've not had the college deal with it in any significant way despite protest for 14 years. So the question is, what are we going to do? If I read this, one of it says the college would say you're not in the department as a result, there's no salary. Is that the intent? I'm just raising this. Yeah, it is a governance issue. I mean, I do understand that. The question is, you have two full-time faculty members, fully tenured, and you're saying to us now, well, this could be interpreted by the college. Can a college interpret it that way? Please.
So you're saying the problem is because there's some colleges don't have departments in schools, right?
And plus, at least one college decides their evaluation expectations at the college level, and they're not doing it at the department level,
which causes a problem.
which is MUMA, as you know. So
I know, it causes problems
You got
though.
problems on both sides.
Yeah.
But the issue is, it's been going this way now, it's not a year, it's not two, it's had its bar mitzvah. This is 14 to 15 years. Is there going to be a time at which someone is going to say, yes, you are in a department because we feel we are? But if you write language that says, no, it's up to the college, and they say you're not, we're not, I'm just saying, is that the intent? I don't sense that, nor do I sense the negativity of people.
Are you talking about this passage or?
Oh, what I would put here, the employees of each department, school, or college without departments or schools.
I think we'd have to go status quo. We don't have the
Yeah.
authority to do that.
Yeah.
In terms of just the salary question, Steve, I think we said when we were talking about that, we would say department or equivalent unit to make it clear
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
folks would not be excluded. But that, we don't want to mess with the governance of a college
Right.
in this document.
So here's my question. If all constitutions have to find their way through a normative channel, do those constitutions need to be declared through legal counsel, I would assume?
As to some things, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mhm.
Are there also legal implications for part of the contract in that process that the union has a role?
I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for the union.
Well,
I think what he's asking is
I'm
that we
saying to you-
get approval of governance documents too,
Well-
or review, or.
We really tread, I mean, Jim does a different kind of review
Jim
of
can
governance
do it. I
documents.
Right.
understand.
I tread very lightly.
There's no
In governance
anger at
documents.
anybody.
And we appreciate that.
No.
Business.
There's no malice. As I read this, after 15 years, is this an attempt to say to Dr. Pierre and myself
This is not.
that we do not belong?
No, it is not.
No, it's
Then
not.
how do we remedy it? We've been asking that. And each time we've gone through, it's gone through several times now. The group says, no, you guys are not, you cannot vote, you cannot govern in any way.
Aren't you allowed to have an at-large membership in your
Mm,
governance
That's
body?
what,
The at-large membership into the college is determined by a vote of all non-members appointed to the committee. So there are 107 other people other than Arthur and I. So we're gonna jump into a pool with 107 people for that one slot, okay? 107 to 2, with departments having 12 people in it. There is no chance of our getting elected. So you call that what you want. I'm saying to you, in my view, you are holding us at risk above and beyond the terms of that involuntary separation 14 and 15 years ago. I see no remedy except to say, if you let the college decide it on its college basis, that's it. And there is no capability of complaining on its merits. If you're saying that, then you do what you need to do. I'm saying to you, it's unfair, it's intolerant, it has occurred for too long. We're supposed to have been on, I don't know what the term is now, under the old letters of counsel. We have been under it for 16 years.
we have, one of the things I would note is that it's not in St. Pete and Sarasota, we have departments, educational foundations, special ed, where there might be one or two faculty that represent an area that, a department. And so they have the same issue in the sense that they can only be voted in by a large group, that are over in Tampa. So sometimes you're right. The only way to fix that in the governance document is to put in the governance document an affirmative statement of some kind that says, we shall always have one person from a regional campus or something. And other than an affirmative that's in the governance document, and you're right, those documents are approved they're checked for compliance with policy and compliance with the CDA and all that other kind of stuff, and everybody signs off on them. But you, Jim, I guess, or somebody could send it back and say, this is a great constitution, but it doesn't.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, you do it all, and it doesn't include an opportunity for, whatever. And then they go and put in a statement that there has to be at least two people who are at large, or one of the people has to be from, and then you fix the governance document, and then you can get it approved. Is that
Well,
fairly?
I usually respond to where there needs to be changes because of new things happening, like
Right.
consolidation.
Like
We went
this,
through
yeah.
all the governance documents. And now with this annual evaluation expectations going through each
Mhm.
unit to
Right.
get those. And yeah, MUMA is an outlier there, and then nursing, marine science, and, let's see, there's another one that doesn't have departments. Oh,
Public health.
public health.
Mhm.
They don't have departments at all.
Our preference on those kinds of things is the faculty in the college through their processes should make those decisions. We should not do it in disagreement.
Not in the contract.
Right.
Okay.
There
Gotcha.
you go, is what I was gonna say. Colleges have declined to vote yes on any appropriate manner for Dr. Shapiro and I to be allowed to vote say for, after everybody is done, the 8 members who are appointed under the Constitution. If we want to run, we can run for the one at-large position in the college against everybody else.
So that is the product of a unique personnel matter. And that's another thing we wouldn't address in the contract.
Well, then who appropriately would address it?
And we wouldn't address it at this table.
I'm just asking, who would address it in the university?
I think you would have a conversation with the dean, maybe the provost's office to try to revisit that.
And if that doesn't work,
You-
Okay. John, I'm pointing it out as a matter of what's fair.
I have a question here then, in 10.5 then, could the college vote and say we want the departments to have this power to develop
Yeah.
the expectations? So we could have a college vote.
I don't see why
It
not.
cedes
Within the
the
governance
authority,
guidelines.
yeah, cedes the authority to the departments to make this up.
I don't see why that couldn't happen.
Because I know what we did do, the college, set up which I love, is that the student evaluations, a 3 to a 3.49 is weak. Is weak.
Yeah,
Well,
I remember that.
we changed that, but for this last year though, we got stuck with, you get a 3.49, it's weak, but now starting this year, 3 is satisfactory.
So every governance document, every college has a governance document that is amendable by whatever processes are in that governance document. So yes, things can be done that way. You could, if you could, I mean, it's conceivable that could happen. And it does happen. I've had,
One college as determined by the college, so the college, in this language you have here, could determine that the department or the school has the power to set the expectations and evaluation for A, B, C, D, and E. Because the problem we got right now in accounting, that it's like 50 journals that we can't get into. The accounting people can't get into them, really. It's impossible. In the whole College of Business, I think we had 7 journal articles in the top 50. 2 came from the director of the school. Then the other ones came from ISDS.
well, as determined by the college, what does that mean? Does that mean by the dean, or does that mean by the faculty of the college?
No, it does say here it has to be a vote. Eligible vote to the department, school, or governance shall participate in development.
Yeah.
Expectations.
Mhm.
So I suppose then, rather than having specific expectations, the college could vote and say each department will be able to determine it themselves. See, if the money goes to the department, who really cares? The problem would be if the money goes to the college, and then one department has set up these criteria that are really simple.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be fair. I
Right,
understand
right,
that, but if the money goes to the departments, and that's all right.
I would hope it'd be self-correcting. If a department does something nutty, which I think in your case they probably did, within a year or two, they'll figure out that it's nutty and they'll change it. They may not, but it wouldn't benefit them to continue to have some weird outlier kind of criteria. Why would the faculty continue to vote for that? I don't know.
Yes, yeah.
So
So
I'm not. I
it's
don't know.
built into governance documents that they're amendable by the faculty in some
Right.
way.
Yeah.
That's what they're
Make
there
sure
for.
you initial, my vote for me.
And I think that's what I'm trying to do.
That's why it's there, so.
Yeah.
I gave you my vote to initial.
Confused here because Yeah, I'm
I
trying to mark
initialed
the,
yours. I'm waiting on you to initial.
yeah, well, I'm trying to figure.
All you need to do is
through
find
here.
out where my initials are, and then you initial.
Yeah, well, this one, you didn't
Might
initial
be
yet, but I
looking at
think
the
this was
wrong-
all right.
Isn't it?
No, this is yours, right here. This is yours.
I'll-
This is mine because I put a check on it.
That's fine. So all you need to do is go back through and
Initial all yours, yeah.
Yeah, well, like I did yours.
Well, all these, yeah, well, I'm marking the pages that,
Offers from capital.
I got a kink in my neck for like 2 months. Because you never see it, so I'm gonna get 15 minutes of it. Just to make sure I can send before it's out there. I'm gonna step out from the minute, but I'll be right
Go
back.
ahead.
Yeah.
You got plenty of time.
That's a contract. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, they get. You're gonna have to pay taxes. Except unless you're Jeff Bezos, but everybody else has to. Yeah. Yeah. So, this is my brother, he says.
I think that everybody in school accounts and get 30 votes to go ahead and do that.
100,000 here, 100,000 here, pretty soon,
They're
sure.
not happy over there.
Read to the bathroom. That's all. Well, I do think that before, and during our conversation, we did this once before, and I'll be honest with you, it really didn't lead to somewhere. We formed in the contract a couple of committees. One of them was to study the student surveys, and one of them was to study, must be intellectual property or something. And we did make reports, and I was on the student survey one. And I know I gave a copy of the report to Kofi, and we talked to the Explorers Blue people and stuff, but they never really, they said they could, but they never really adopted the recommendations in the report. They just kind of died out. They were still good suggestions. So I know some of us, like me, we create our own surveys based on a very similar model to the kind of recommendations we're making anyway. And we put them in our annual reviews, and most of the department chairs and committees like to see it because they're helpful. So somebody here said, well, maybe we should put it in the contract to have a study committee for
No, you
salary
didn't
compression and
cross that
stuff
out,
like
did you?
that.
That's mine. I was
But we
trying to work.
didn't, I just don't know
Not
whether.
that one.
What
That was
if
our
we-
calendar.
That's not a proposal yet. I was trying to think
Right,
about
okay,
what if we did that? Would that get us there?
right.
Yeah.
okay.
I just don't know how effective it's going to actually be. The last two committees did make reasonably good reports. At least one of them was, the one that I did, because I thought it was a good one. But we never really adopted. And so I guess that is the issue now, I don't know why, but it died, so.
Yeah. There's so much stuff going on right now,
Yeah.
with the.
Well, and that's one of the things that happens, stuff
at the
gets buried.
university. Yeah.
I look at it this way, what we have to be happy for, we're not Ukraine.
Yeah, yeah,
Look at it that way.
I think about that every day.
yeah.
And we're healthy.
Well, to some extent.
I went to New York 10 days after 9/11 happened
Mhm.
because I wanted to see it. And I found out that you could fly there $40 for a round trip because nobody wanted to fly for some reason. So
Yeah.
I went to New York, and went around all the still smoking
Yeah.
ruins, and I took a bunch of pictures. And when the Ukraine war started up,
It looks like that.
I went back and I looked at those pictures just to remind myself how I would feel if that at all, what's going on in Ukraine, happened to me. Because,
Mhm.
and it was scary, thinking about that. Or I think about my house where I lived, very happy. What if it was just rubble?
Yeah.
And every other house in the neighborhood was just rubble.
Come on, how would you like to go ahead? Whatever
there-
you,
My
put-
neighbors were
take
laying
your
dead in the
backpack and
street.
that's it, that's all you got.
And they
Yeah,
saw
so you got-
children.
Yeah, it's just, I just can't even comprehend it.
Well, it's probably a little self-serving to say, thank goodness that University of Florida decided to act up so that we got more money. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how to put it any other way, but,
But we still think.
I mean, because we've been the bad guy for so long, where no matter what we did, and no matter what our metrics were, we would still come out behind. So I think that, they made them madder than we did. So.
So, we still don't have an agreement on this.
6.5.
Agreements.
Which one?
They're trying to,
Agreements that are
Oh, so I don't-
six.
Well,
Page 6. I'm sorry, page 6.
so when you guys came in, Gerard did give us additional information that there is some kind of an advocate or something, so we
Yes,
need to,
you
yeah,
have a representative, but
so we need to probably look at that policy
Right.
real
still need
quick.
to go, you should look at the policy.
Yeah.
But the policy
We'll have
does
to just
require all
copy it, yeah.
participants to provide information.
Yeah, but what I want the people who actually went through that, had the problem, to let me know what they feel about that.
Right.
I
Yeah,
haven't
it's gonna
gone
be
through it.
federal law, so we're gonna have trouble on that.
what was that policy number?
Oh, four.
This is everything. Yeah. Yeah, all right.
I'm just finding a couple pages we didn't sign here that we talk about one more time and see. Well, you really have two that we haven't really.
Is there, on that appendix that?
Well, I guess on page 18, I don't know, I mean,
Oh, that's the. Well,
So,
what I'm thinking is, what do you want to do on that one? I mean, basically, it says we're a college, but then we have to do, is we'd have to get into the college and we had to get enough people to vote that says, look, we want the departments to go ahead and do that.
I don't know why.
Huh?
I know,
That could be a problem, you think?
I don't know.
well, you certainly
See,
can't
here's
do
the
it
problem right
without
now,
it.
we don't have,
But
right
with
now-
it, you might
yeah,
make
but
it.
right now, we have nothing. You understand? We have nothing about who determines the criteria, right? There's nothing.
Right.
Man in the moon could determine the
It'd be
criteria.
better to have the faculty do it at any level than to not have the
That's what I'm
faculty doing it, right?
That's why I
We're not
say,
having.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, if the faculty get to influence the criteria, that would make sense.
If
because
you have
we
another
got-
page, 18,
I'm
page is
listening.
page 18,
I'm listening to it.
because I've already messed this
That's what
one
he's
up.
talking about. We've already signed it. He's thinking about maybe backing out of this signature. That's what I'm just.
No, 18, we didn't sign 18 yet.
Well, we
You're at
got
the
it.
top, at the top.
Page 18?
F and G.
Yeah, it's all been initial.
Oh, I did, okay.
Where's the?
are you crossed out on your
If you want to
copy?
back out, you
No,
can
no,
back
no, oh,
out.
no,
I thought that's what the discussion was.
no, I screwed mine up. My page
Yeah,
here.
It wasn't you said you always used a pencil.
No, on this one I used pen. It's better to have, see, I'm the one that drew this to begin with, and the only thing you all did, you had the college. But I drew this other language, see, because we have to do something, we have nothing out there right now. And who determines it, I mean, so I have to do something.
Do you want another page?
Yeah, give me another page.
I'll give you mine. I've got some things on the side.
I just
Hold
need
on, hold on,
18.
I've got it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, just hold on just a minute. Let me just check something.
Yeah,
I can only do one thing.
That's what I'm trying to. What did you
Let
call
me,
it?
before we do
An
that,
advocate?
Advisor.
Advisor. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do?
before we go back to
I'm gonna
that
put it for
page,
preview.
I'm gonna give him I've got one
And then
thing
I'm
I'm
gonna put it, yeah.
appendix
Okay, we're
F,
doing
you
the
do
same
not
thing.
want to agree to
Yeah,
appendix F at
And then
all.
just do.
What, yeah,
Yeah, that's that one that Jim spent so much time on.
Okay, it wasn't
Employees
there.
who are advisors.
I don't like the days, no, I mean, I just hate to reduce it down to 15
Not
days. I understand why you need to
Can't
get
find the
15
word
days, because you gotta
advisor.
move on.
Yeah.
But I
That's
just,
fine.
you know,
Did you download it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We
I'm
can
looking-
find like
I
people
have
who are
the-
advisors can't sexually harass people.
I have the policy
00.
I'm not sure if we mind
004.
going to 7 days on the.
and I searched for the word
Yeah,
advisor
The chair director making
and I haven't been
decisions.
able to find it.
Appendix F, yeah. Oh, let's talk to Jim about it, see if we can tweak this.
22 matches for advisor on 004.
So where's the
Maybe
issue?
we'll see what.
Reducing 30 days to 15
Okay.
days.
Yeah,
Did you
I
put
don't care
advisors with an
about
S
giving
on
the
it?
I
chair
just have advisor.
from
I
4
bet
to
he put
7
an S on
days
it.
to
Without this.
You do have without the S?
meet with the employee and discuss the dispute. I mean, I don't, because 4 days is not really good when you talk about Saturdays and Sundays.
do you want to change the 15 to, I don't know,
I'd rather keep that at 30, but I don't mind changing the 4 to 7.
okay, I mean, the only reason I put the 30 to 15 was just to make it move faster.
Yeah, I
But
understand.
if you don't want that, we can just revert it to the 30.
I'd rather keep it at 30.
Well, because we're worried that people might need, it's a decision that might cause problems for you in the future. So, they may want to have time to consult.
But I don't have any problem going from the 4 to 7 because
No.
4 days means Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, that was just that, how do you get it to somebody in
Right.
4 days?
Right.
So I wouldn't mind then, leaving the 30, but change the 4 to 7. Yeah,
You're okay with 3690, line 3690, that change is okay. And then on line
In other words,
3681,
what
we'll
you
change that
do-
back to 30?
It was 3670 would stay at 30. 3681 would stay at 30.
Oh, you want 30 up here too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I don't
I'm
mind
okay
we
with that. I was just
change it.
trying to make it short.
Yeah.
We'll change the 4 to 7 to give you more time. I mean, because 4
Yeah.
days is not enough when you're talking about
Okay.
Saturdays and Sundays would include in
We're
that.
just listening to you.
It's not, right, that's not enough time. 4 days wasn't enough time.
Anything else on here?
See the date. Because mine was definitely a different date.
And I have the president's representative has to complete part 1 within 2 days. And again, I put more pressure on myself to try to make it all shorter.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that. Because those things do need to keep
The only thing
going.
I'd be concerned is just leaving it 30 days
Okay.
for us. Yeah.
We can do that.
Now that we've established we have complained
Okay, now we
policy.
Okay,
I put it in the-
so this is every advisor.
I'll initial this, I'll just initial this through
Yeah.
30.
Advisors, any individual. this is
Yeah,
the-
that's one
Okay,
of
well,
Appendix,
Meetings related to the timeline process. Advise the party of the process and then, policy designation to the party at the formal-
How you doing, Greg? How you doing?
We are down to 7 people listening. We have a 1 thumbs up.
Hey, that's good.
Yeah, we got up to 26 people, but I guess that,
We didn't have as much notice this time for the people.
well,
watching.
thing is that when we broke the session, I stupidly said, well, we'll be back in maybe 15 minutes ago, and it was actually 50 minutes. So
I see.
the people.
So in the 30 days, you just want
I
to,
just initial.
So
You
they,
can see
they
I made
went
a
away
change.
and it was Friday afternoon.
The only people who showed
It's
up
time for a happy
there
hour.
are in HR. So,
I told my wife to expect me late.
If we're still there at 5, I'm calling for pizza and beer, that's all I'm saying.
Can't we just do that now? It's 4:30.
Well, by the time we get you, yeah,
Beer and wine.
you're wine
Yeah.
and pizza, I'm in. If we call now, it'll be here 5:15.
We want to look at this one again.
I'll start drinking again.
You stopped?
See, I told you,
Oh, that 15 years ago.
I suggested that was a good option.
Yeah.
If my mother can start day drinking during the pandemic, you can start drinking.
Oh, man. I started really day drinking when I got divorced. The pandemic was right around the same time, so.
You went through the mail.
Oh, yeah.
I
No,
feel so sorry for you all the time.
I did have a bad couple of years there, 3 years. I had just one thing after another, insane
Would you?
stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and
I think he's okay
the
with
first
it.
time I realized my mother was day
So
drinking,
he
I'm like,
needs a clean.
I'm
page,
keeping
'cause he's
people
already-
up.
How'd she's fine though, isn't she?
she's fine. My mother's 80, almost 80, and my mother's 81. And, it was just funny because my mother at the very least would only have like,
And now she's,
a little bit of wine and like, in the evening when she was watching
Thank
TV. That's
That's a
she's
help.
day drinking. Not regularly,
Yeah.
but when she does it, 'cause my cousin was in town, so my cousin, my sister, my mother and I were out on
He's
Saturday,
right.
Saturday.
This
drinking.
this
My mother's like,
policy,
Christmas.
I
which
enjoy
was
this, we should do this
just
more often.
only put
It is
in
fun.
4 or 5 months ago.
okay, so we haven't seen
And it's
this.
entirely different than that.
So does it solve our problems?
I think it does in the sense of representation. Yes, it does.
Well, I think
Bob,
you
here's a
see that
clean
there is a
version of
process
page
in there that is,
18.
Yes.
frankly, adversarial at the end to resolve it. And
Right.
what
Okay.
Giving you is something beyond that where you can even grieve the result of that process. If you don't like
That
it.
makes it
You
better.
have an advisor.
Because I was
for-
very concerned about not having a rep of your own and,
No, you can have your,
Yes.
of your choice.
okay, so
Right.
you can bring your attorney, you can bring your best friend,
But you can't bring both of them.
you can't bring your dog.
That's all the,
Depends on how sentient your dog is.
Yeah, if the dog is,
Process.
yeah.
I was gonna bring my
Report
dog,
evaluation
because I
files.
typically bring him in on Fridays.
Yeah.
I want to bring my dog. I don't have one, but I want one. If I
Yeah,
can bring it to work.
I'd give you
know-
my dog, but you'd give her back.
You'd want
If the
my-
electronic file is really used in place of paper, then it's not an issue. The only issue has been if a chair is at, or whoever it is is using something that is outside of the file. I think that they've been told, or they say not to. Most of the chairs will tell me that they're not. But there are validity issues for some disciplines and areas in some of these electronic searching, academic analytics, Google Scholar and stuff. They have some biases and
Oh,
some
yeah,
problems.
that's there.
If I, as a faculty member, want to submit something as part of my annual review and use that as evidence, that's fine. But there are examples that we've heard of people using information that was not in their electronic file. They're getting
Yeah.
comparisons or they're getting numbers
Right.
and they're using it as part of their
The
judgment,
pages
even though
that
it
I've
was
signed,
really
you
not
haven't signed
submitted.
yet.
And that's the potential danger.
This is a signature page, whatever.
It may not happen, but it could.
Signature page.
Well, we had one chair who told us that they did.
Those
Yeah, they're
pages
using
aren't
other
numbered.
things.
Yeah.
The,
I'm sure we used to do
Are
pretty
you
good things,
talking
but
about things, those
at least
things
he's
that
not a
are
problem now.
in kind of like the public domain that the chair is looking at? Or are you talking about things that should
No.
not be looking
No,
at?
they're probably things like, say
Penalty.
academic analytics gives you some kind of a rating compared to Purdue.
Wow.
And or whatever, pick up, or Google Scholar as an
I
I
guess I
index
just
or
signed
something.
this too.
And in your particular place, there's some reason why
Those
you
are the
think
witnesses,
that
yeah.
is not an accurate representation of you, your discipline, your
Went to 7
situation,
days.
or
that's
whatever.
all right.
And yet the chair uses it, but it's not in your electronic file and you may not even know
4 days isn't
to
enough. That's not enough.
challenge it.
Okay, because my next point was going to be, wouldn't that be part of the evaluation conversation between the faculty?
It
But not
should
for you
be.
guys,
Yeah.
But in
And then
one
puts it at
case,
7.
we had an
4 days,
ex-department
that's
chair
Saturday and Sunday.
who relayed that several of the chairs had gotten together and were using it, but they weren't
I was the
Just
appendix.
telling
editor.
them.
But they weren't putting it into the files, they weren't putting it into the process. It was
No,
not
not
part of the
yet, not
criteria that the faculty
I
had
know.
voted on, and what,
No.
You signed mine.
that they were using.
That's what I'm gonna do. I pay the pages that.
So I
I'm gonna
was,
have to say bye.
I get
That's
a
a
good
fair
evening.
question. And you enjoy yourself.
2, 5.
If it's not in the assignment sheet, leave it
That's
alone.
fine.
if it's something that I know is there and I can challenge it, fine.
One thing we're putting into the annual evaluation, redos is that they have to meet
18
with
and
the faculty
26,
member
2,
because a
5.
lot of chairs don't. They just send you.
Oh, I've never met with my.
My chair does.
So I'm
Never.
trying to make it
We need
to where they have to, they
No,
have
I've never had a face-to-face.
with your, not with your dean, but with your chair.
Yeah, I was.
I've never
Early on,
met
I was
my
like,
friend.
I did when I
Chair.
worked in, in county, but not.
Are you talking about tree?
Girls, I mean,
No, I'm talking, I've never, since I've been here.
Steve,
Wow.
y'all
Yes, sir.
y'all have a question on this,
what we,
this,
you know,
So
I don't
that's
know
part of
about
what I've
this
been
one.
trying to put it, called the formative evaluation, which means they don't just give you a score, they explain.
Well, that was the one.
Well,
Well, they explain it right,
We
and
were
they
just
just
looking
meet
at.
with you.
Yeah, but they should.
I don't think
But we're
that
making-
Karen
we made
or
them
Debbie
do
or
it.
myself have any problem as long as we have that representation.
He signed it too.
That's fine.
Oh, no, we
But
just
what
receive
I
it
was looking
online, we
at
just
before
approve
was
it.
not what you just showed
Well,
me.
that's under our.
What y'all
Not in
just
our
passed last
Yeah, okay.
November,
making them.
just 4 or 5 months ago.
But our
appears
current
to
No,
be
we're not
fine.
consulted even on
I
the
have
day
no
or time
problem
we
with it.
teach. We just
Written
get
the
our
way
assignment.
that policy is.
okay.
So,
It wasn't
I mean,
always
I
like
would-
that
I
on
would
that
say
end.
this
It used to be that we were
policy,
consulted,
if
but
it's-
we're not anymore.
You want to
This
say
policy
this
as it
policy
exists now,
as
this is-
amended?
It used to be like they'd say
You wanna put as
Tuesdays,
amended?
Thursdays still
Right,
work for
because
you.
Your
or-
original claim has to go through Title IX.
Yeah,
When,
okay. We're gonna add as
You're in a
amended
really
after.
weird place.
Well,
But the-
that's why,
but the
that, you
new
know, I'm a
Title IX
Republican. I
policy
joined their union because of the
allows
weird stuff that keeps happening.
Yeah,
I'll give you the date of the amendment.
you can handle.
I'm not a normal,
representative.
you
It
know,
could be
you wouldn't think of me
UFF
as a
or
normal
attorney or
union
whatever.
person. So you're a
So,
Republican and a
Do
union
you
member?
bring that after policy 004 as amended?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know what? Academia doesn't work like business. In business, you know, I was not in favor of unions, but because most of the time, if you have a manager in business that's incompetent, they fire them. They don't do that here. Well,
and
And I'll tell you another union that you're gonna
Because of
find a
you.
lot of. No, I don't think so. Because you guys aren't covered it, like Sri wasn't in the
Yeah,
union,
yeah.
but we couldn't get rid of them.
If you know the history of unions, you know about the Teamsters, right?
As far
Yeah.
as I can
My
determine
dad
that resolves.
Had to be in the Teamsters, he was an
That we
airline
were
Yeah,
employee.
they were Republican.
Well, my
Union
dad
doesn't
was,
mean you're one particular party. I don't.
That's why Robert Kennedy.
it
went after
shouldn't. It really shouldn't.
Did you put as amended, Bob? There's 2 places.
5
Bob.
and 6.
Actually, it's 3
I
places.
just, for some reason, I keep hearing
Three
Shania
places.
Twain
Yeah,
in my
yeah.
brain.
The 2 places on
This
page 6,
entire-
right?
Page 6, 3 places.
This
you have to add
entire
as
thing,
amended.
all I hear is that song.
Which song?
Which?
Do-do-do-do. I knew that's what you were talking
It's
about.
just going round and round in my head.
Check your hearing aid.
Yeah, that might be it.
You're picking up something.
You're getting a country station.
Actually, I saw a YouTube video a couple days ago, of somebody doing a cover of it.
No,
And I think that's
thank
what
you,
it's-
Gerard.
You know what, I just heard it today too.
But I
Did
can
you?
sit
Yeah.
down with you if you want and go
There you
through
go.
the policy.
As soon as you said that,
It's a
Shania
great
Twain, that's what the one I thought you were talking about.
Pretty elaborate.
it. I'm now thinking
What
about
we had
6
in our meetings
people
last year
who
must have
are,
been before
have the
that.
full range mic that can pick up
Must have
everyone
been.
in the room, and they are trying to track all these different conversations.
26 and 57.
End of hours, you know, we get a little,
You already got that on mine. On this one, you already signed it.
I just,
Did you
I
sign
keep kicking it on my
page
side. I think
18
I'm
on mine?
antsy, like
Get
I'm
it
moving
right?
so much. I
There's
don't think
18,
it-
let me
Make
look.
sure all that's,
Yeah.
all that's initial? Okay.
26. And then jump to 57.
Yeah, I mean, let me put it this way. If you go to a meeting and you have a attorney with you at the
Yeah.
first investigative meeting, and if anything
57,
happens,
I've already
they're not
signed
there.
theirs.
Okay, perfect.
I would
And
think,
59.
because the
I've
whole
signed that.
point is that if you're
Copies
in
of the-
danger of this,
Right.
59.
whatever, you know, lawsuit, and they're going to say,
So that policy corrects that.
you know, plus they added in the other part, so you can still file a document check.
Perfect.
62.
I actually think one of a major concession we made here was the taking letters of counsel out.
I appreciate that though,
That's
because they're
huge.
not supposed to be disciplined.
They're not.
I know, why do they need to be in there then?
They're not.
They felt like discipline when they were in the process.
If you can reach a deal,
Especially when
they'll
I
be
had, no, I tried. And you know what? The report even said I was not at fault, but I still had to go through it.
No, but I'm saying if we sign,
It was stupid.
if we sign this agreement, that'll be gone.
Right.
So you'll
Not
take,
retroactively.
you
but-
But
take
you know,
a
how was that
retroactive,
happen?
right?
How do you get a letter of counsel when they did an investigation said I just did my job? But I still got counsel. That's what I mean about bad managers who you guys keep. That's why I'm in the union.
There's no accounting for people's behavior sometimes, is there?
I do not understand why any college
If I can ever figure out the
To
great mystery of my life, which is
tie
why
themselves
holiday shows
down
up 4 times on
to
my
such a narrow
calendar on my iPad.
standard like you guys do.
I know.
There's no
I don't
reason, there's no
Well,
reason.
this appendix-
You can give people
The-
credit.
I know
I'll
how
just
to
check
have
it
mobile
off.
items.
Yeah, right.
Check off.
You just
And
mark
then
it
I
as
saw
ID,
that 4 times.
the whole thing,
Yeah, I mean-
all these little changes on appendix B.
You can
blame it Steve
always
Jobs.
say, if you
That's all.
Yeah.
publish a really great journal, we'll give you credit.
Thinking
Yeah,
he knows better than me what I want on my.
The-
But if you don't,
Arbitration.
there's no
check off.
reason to say it.
Oh, that's not
Computer
me.
in my office gonna say
I
why
know.
I blame Bill Gates.
Well,
It's
now you
B
know what's
as in
happening?
boy.
Big.
This is my calendar. I am not at the mercy of Steve Jobs.
Yeah, B, I've already.
He's
initialed
dead.
those,
Well,
yeah.
okay, as long as we got.
I still
Yeah,
think
we're
there's
already
something going
initialed.
on in his.
Security
You know what I
number.
would
He's
do?
part of the AI.
You'll
But you're now under the purview of Elon
You didn't
Musk.
say who said it.
Yeah,
I asked
You
him,
do
so
realize that
why
these people
is
are
the
irrelevant.
graduate
One of the world's leading
program
misanthropes,
hired at USF,
James Lovelock,
And we've got
the guy who
18
came up with
people
the whole
making
AI
$5,000
hypothesis,
a year,
has written
and they
a
don't
book
pay
about the
them
21st century.
making $2,000
Climate
a
change is the
And the
way
program
by which
trained
AI will take over the world.
But you
However,
look
he
at this and let
optimistically
him look at
projects
that.
that they will keep us as houseboats
If we're
Their
lucky.
grant program.
if we're lucky.
based on the way my dog treats me, I think I am the house pet already, so it's okay.
Yeah, I think they all work. in
That's one thing he
businesses
pointed
now.
out. Silicon-based life forms are not affected by
But I looked at their whole
carbon-based.
I looked at their
Just
numbers,
double check.
and I-
You know, Elon Musk keeps warning us about that. He's been shouting about it for like 5 years.
But he's heavily invested in.
But he's not doing general AI, he's doing, specific.
He
It's
is-
generalized AI that he's worried about.
Yeah.
Which is different
And I
from,
also,
Yes,
job
no, 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 no,
you
no.
know,
If you know anything
You know
about evolution, you know that the
ASCSD is not
specialized creatures
DOE
that are the most specific. So
well,
I regard
the
him as
reason
what
why
Lenin called a useful idiot.
Sachs has agreements with some of the spas, that if they have overlapping standards, the spa does not have to go.
I always think I
under
read
DOE
these every time I
approval
get my
because they're-
Tesla.
they're
Oh, so they have to
separate.
apply.
But here's the problem, you change to something other than Sachs.
What a great car.
You're not DOE approved.
Is
Now
it
your
self-driving?
financials not accredited.
I paid for self-driving, but it
This is
doesn't.
gonna cause all kinds of unintended.
It's not, and to get
And
a beta version of the
ASCSD has
self-drive, you have to have,
Like that.
they score.
They have
your
4
driving.
squares for faculty
Talk about
qualifications. I
invasive.
know, because
Yeah.
I had a contract with them to help write their evaluations.
You have to have a
And
score
then one of,
Of
one of the
98.
4 is practitioner.
out
So,
of 100.
well,
And
some of
I got mine up to
some of the
92
other,
once,
the other
but I'm
two
usually in the
business
high
accreditators
80s
don't have
because
to
when I
don't
put
have
on my
that.
driveway,
And
So that
so
means half our
it's a gravel
half
driveway
your
with big
faculty
oak
are
trees. It
Yeah.
assumes I've gone
Again,
off the
unintended
road.
consequences. it's
And
always
so I
great
get
to pass
dinged
along
every
without
time I
knowing
get out
they
of the
don't know what they're
exactly
doing. They don't.
Well, that seems like a flaw in the AI now, doesn't it?
It does.
But is it a flaw?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would argue that it is. It is a passable road.
I tell my students that the deep state is real and it's silicon based. They think it's fun.
It might be true.
Well, look, how many times did we hear in school that Orwell's book was gonna be about government? Big Brother is not the government. Big Brother is big companies.
Well, I mean, we always assume that the executives are in control, but the truth is, do these pointy-haired people know how their own silicon-based life forms work?
That's a
No, the
compromise.
people that are in control are sitting in a lab somewhere in Apple, not the people in the C-suite.
No, I think those are the useful
I
idiots.
am worried that
People in the
we're gonna study something.
No, I think the people in the laboratories are the useful idiots. The people in the C-suite are irrelevant.
Somebody's gotta be relevant because they're designing.
I
this.
tell you what's relevant, it's the critters that they are making.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a common problem.
Well,
We'll be dead.
Jim was talking about
Yeah,
California, how they.
you're a
have
Neanderthal,
separate
that's where you
races and
belong.
stuff, yeah.
That's
Well,
fine by me.
and you know what compounds it? So in St.
That's totally
Pete,
fine by me.
nobody, at least as far as I know in the college business, I don't know about the other houses, none of us who are associates
My
ever
brother-in-law
expect to be
thinks
sold.
he's
We don't have
gonna
the history
give
of
to my
publications that they expect from us.
Great grand.
Because we weren't in the
nieces and
same-
nephews. I looked at him and
So
said,
that's another thing that
Well,
compounds the problem. We're never gonna get that last raise.
your first floor is gonna be
If you could
waterfront
do this.
in front of the church.
Take the bonus as long as it's, anybody with a 3 or better gets the bonus. Take the 3.5, but in this next year we get 3. And you commit to using a certain portion of the ADI 1% that you're gonna get for compression inversion. Commit to using that percent and to using it. A compression inversion plan.
We can't get to 3 third year.
No.
But that money you got, it's continuing. It's continuous appropriation.
Well, I think we'll be renegotiating a new contract at that time, when we start in March.
That's right.
And that's when we look to continue to see what we can do in the out years. We can do 2. If the compression inversion thing, we're willing to announce that we're committed to that. We can talk about it as a team. Might even be willing to do a reopener just on that topic. In year 3, we haven't done something before, just on compression inversion.
You mean year 2?
No,
Year 3, yeah. I don't have authority for that, that's a call.
But under your proposal, when will this contract expire again?
it would expire in July of 2024.
24. Yeah, if we can't get a commitment for more than 2, I don't think we can go that long.
You mean towards the commitment for more than 2?
That 2% in that last year, if we can't get 3, I don't think we can agree. We got to end the contract sooner.
We don't have authority to have it. We've got to have it for a year to get what we did.
Yeah, we could look at reopening a little bit earlier, but I don't know, we couldn't.
It might be July, you want July 2024, it's be July 2023. And we're going to negotiate then for what we're going to get in August of 23. 2 is not enough, just not enough, because the money you got is, continuing. It's a lot of,
Yeah, that's why
money
your
is in.
3.5% continues into the 3rd year. And
But again, inflation's better.
Inflation now.
Well,
And we haven't
have
had a raise
control
in
over
3
that.
years.
We don't have.
But our point still is that the 3.5% is nothing more than the 1.5 and the 2
I know.
on the original offer before we were getting this money. But although 2 was
No,
contingent, it was
no.
contingent.
Before we've gotten not a penny yet. We're grateful for what looks to be coming, but we haven't gotten a penny. But what we shifted there was so the faculty wouldn't be penalized for how long it's taken to bargain. So,
And that was a bonus going to help a little bit there.
yeah, that's why we shifted it to that. And we didn't then
Yeah,
just terminate
there you go.
the 1.5 then and just give you
Then I'm talking about
whatever it was.
So we got a problem there. They're thinking 28, I think we would this would be our agreement. You accept our language, we just cut it completely. We crossed 28 completely.
What we were saying conceptually would be that 3, score 3 or better for all 3. So in other words, the 2,000 bonus, the 3.5 and the 2. Okay? So if we, we got to sell that with our community too, because, but what we're saying is that it wouldn't be on a sliding scale. If you get 3 or better on your score, you get that amount.
Yeah.
That's what we were conceptually asking you, could we get the deal with that? The other thing too is that, what I was thinking about is that we set aside a percentage that we agree that if practicable, we will address compression, inversion of a certain percentage of that 1%, and that'd be each year. No, we weren't gonna limit it to 1 year, but we've already told you that we're addressing it, we're intending to address it internally. You've got to let us work through this. This is not gonna be an immediate thing. And I don't push the university into a situation that, seems to be overreaching here. I mean, we're trying to work with you to get this done. We're there, y'all. The idea is the concept of the compression inversion issue. We hear you. Jim has said that before. How many times has he heard you and we've come back eventually and been able to address it? But that's a big subject matter that can't be addressed,
Oh,
Oh,
I'm
no,
with
we know
you.
it.
Believe me, we hear it all the time.
Even
And that's,
measuring
if there's not some kind of a talking point or something to say to them, the people who fill out surveys are the active people. And they're the ones who vote.
Well, I think if you explain to them, look,
Yeah.
we've got in there a set aside of a certain, but it's practicable. And then we've got, we're gonna be addressing, you're gonna be challenging us.
Right.
If we don't address it, you'll be challenging us with that. But let us internally work through that and tell them what you've been able to acquire through bargaining and language in the agreement with respect to that. But the 2% in the third year, I mean, that's how we were able to get this proposal before you. And again, no restriction, no contingency in any of the contract language. We've taken it all out, y'all. It's guaranteed.
Yeah, the contingency was definitely holding us up.
Well,
That was one of the things, absolutely was holding us up. So taking that out was a big help.
And it's in the second and the third year. There's no contingency in either one of those periods of time.
See, 28 only, all it says is, the only thing that it says is, under certain circumstances, we have to bargain. That's all it says, really. We shall bargain. That's all it says.
Then why do you want it out?
Because bargaining is one-sided. And
That language has been in there for, I don't
Does that mean
know.
that it's been in the-
It was in the statute when it was passed in 1974. That's when this bargaining statute was
yeah,
passed.
but John, we have.
That language in the statute that's referenced in 28
I have the
has been in the
statute.
contract.
Big change
Yes.
is a constitutional amendment. No one seems to want to talk about it.
Well, because that has been, we disagree about the cases, but that has been litigated. And the statute was found to be constitutional.
In particular, I understand that there are certain things but what are you saying? What's found to be constitutional?
That a law can come in and change a contract
And that was before the constitutional amendment.
after the Constitution.
I think-
That's what that sheriff's case is. That's what the
I
Hillsborough
swear I
County
read
case
that one,
is.
and I'm not sure.
I-
I think I read that case, when he gave it to me, and I didn't think it said that at all in
Well, I mean,
regards.
that's an issue for the courts. It's not an issue for the bargaining table.
Right.
But the point is, as I remember, the sheriff's case had nothing to do with the university system.
I don't think that it's the same statute.
No, that's why I'm telling you it's different. That's what I keep
But
arguing.
but the impact of that, remember, was applied to the universities. You guys actually filed a lawsuit about it and lost. One of the cases is an FEA case, right? So because that dealt with the retirement contributions, which
Yeah,
applied to the
that's one
Sheriff's
had to do with
Association of
retirement.
State Troopers, and then everybody that works at a university, the FEA filed a lawsuit and lost. We lost that case on that issue. So this has been litigated.
That do with the contributions, right?
Right.
Yeah, the retirement
Yeah.
They wanted
contributions.
to bargain.
Well, that's what the Constitution says, except as to the appropriation of funds.
Yeah, because it had to do with funds. Yeah.
Right. That's the way I read it. Yeah, that was entirely different. It's like I also agree on public records laws that,
You know what? I fully respect you. I really do. And this is an issue that I really hope and you can convince the powers that be in the union to fight over this and file a lawsuit if that's what you want to do and challenge it. That's where it's to be done in the courtroom, not the bargaining table.
well, the question is whether by having
Don't
this
hold me to
language,
bargaining.
But if we waive that, see, that's the question, but see, my argument is really clear that here's what I go to court on. The first thing, here's my argument. I can tell you right now. If the legislature passes a statute, and then you try to go ahead and enforce that, it's not in the contract, you try to enforce it, I think we should file a lawsuit and say, no, can't do that, because the Constitution clearly indicates that as the university system, the Board of Governors has the power to run it, and the legislature can appropriate for funds. And this statute has nothing to do with the appropriation for funds, and therefore they can't do it.
You file that lawsuit and you will be changed, and if you prevail,
They'll change for the whole
then
state.
every contract pretty much
That's
that's
right.
been written, but that's for a different day.
Like, the other thing in 28, for instance, I give an example.
Bob, can't we just do what we did on 19? The fact that you're agreeing to the status quo language does not waive any potential argument you have in
I also crossed out
court of
this.
competent jurisdiction. We're willing to stipulate to that.
So let me ask you about this. Let's suppose Temple Terrace passes an ordinance that changes our contract.
Temple Terrace did what?
Well,
Changed our
the
contract?
language here says ordinance.
It changed, ordinance changed our CV?
Well, that's what he's asking,
Yeah,
Or
I'm
could it,
saying,
because it says
no.
ordinance.
because 28 says ordinance. I
I
believe,
think
doesn't
he's
it?
trying to be inclusive, but I think
Yeah.
we're certainly willing to stipulate that you're not
to
waiving.
take
any-
effect, don't even amend the law.
I mean, can we not talk about the cash instead of the constitutional issue? Is that not more important?
No.
Okay.
If you ask me right now, I give up 1% to get rid of 28. I give up 1% of salary increase to get rid of 28.
I'm not gonna say what I was just gonna say. 'Cause
You
these guys
know
are
that.
following unfair
You-
labor
you-
practices
yeah.
against me.
You're holding the contract and all the, was it 1,400 faculty? Is that what we're talking about here? Members, there's that many people that are being held up over this issue of whether or not it's constitutional
I
or
think-
not.
I
And it's
think
been in here for years and never affected adversely one person.
it is
Well, it is
effective.
now.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, we all had,
We have some
we all
things
got hit
happening
with the
now.
stupid survey this week, which
Yeah.
most people didn't. So anyway,
Well, look,
I
I
know,
think
but
that,
that's all right.
yeah, okay, well, let's don't get angry with one another, guy. I mean,
The survey
it's a-
didn't cost us
it's
anything.
a healthy discussion, but.
Let me
the fact of the
let me give you
matter is-
another example. This is an important example. Yeah, this contract, we've agreed that you will deduct from our paycheck. All right? It says in here, right, you, in the contract.
The statute says that we have to, based upon dues authorization forms. That's a statutory requirement.
All right.
And, you know, in the university, to my knowledge, has never charged for that deduction, have we? Even
No.
though we could negotiate a charge, we've never proposed that.
No, but let me finish what I'm gonna say about that one.
Okay, go
Now,
ahead.
where is that about deducting the money here? Is that a benefit? Is that a benefit we have here? What the heck is that? Yeah, what article, is that the benefit on
That's
it?
a union benefit.
Yeah, well, I know,
That's your revenue stream.
but we have negotiated that, right? You know where that is, George?
No.
It's in here, though, I mean,
It's,
lawyers have that bad habit of giving examples, and I just want to give this example. Benefit, it must be under other employee rights or 63, I don't know where it is.
I don't believe dues
Payroll
deduction
deduction.
is a payroll deduction is a benefit. I don't believe payroll deduction is a benefit. Payroll deduction,
And where is that?
It's at 25.1.
25.1, but it's in the contract, right?
Yeah.
Therefore, you gotta do it because it's in the contract.
Martin said it was in his.
we have to
Well,
do it.
this is the point that I'm freaking making here. Right now, we have a benefit deduction. And what did they try to put on the table this time up here?
Greg's name made it.
What legislature they want to
The
put?
law, if that
I
is
saw that.
passed.
Right, and my argument is, you're gonna say, well, 28 says they can do it.
No, I would point to the statute, and I would just say, this is what the law is.
What if they change the law? See, our contract says we have the
You
right
can
to
go to
deduct
court
it.
and challenge not gonna violate the law,
But they changed the law.
and we'll follow the new law.
Well, that's the point I'm making, because of 28. You're saying because of 28.
I can't contract out of the law. Neither can you, by the way. You
Well,
can challenge it and
well,
maybe
we'll
you
challenge it, but I'm just giving you, you want an example of why I don't like 28. There's an example. They tried to pass, not only to certify us, also they wanted to take away the ability of the university to deduct money from my paycheck. They're gonna pass that law. And that would change the contract, right?
So there's some things you can do at the table, there's some things you have to do at the ballot box, and there's some things to do at the courthouse.
Well, one thing we could do is get rid of 28. I think you realizing what the importance we put on 28, right? I mean, you feel it's important or
Oh,
not?
yeah,
I don't-
we've spent a lot of time talking about it.
We both sides, we had a lot of important stuff that we caved on and conceded to in order to reach an agreement. And so have you, both parties have done so.
We give up a lot
That's
of
when
things.
we
we
came
talk
through,
about.
back in the 17th.
Like the courses should be 0.25, gave that up. Also, the academic freedom language, gave that up. No, we gave up a lot of stuff
We
too.
both did.
Right.
We both did. We both did. It's been give and take at the table. So we're down to now discussing whether we have an agreement. We've initialed everything else except for 23.
Well, let me talk to everybody you see. I'm not taking the responsibility of this myself. You know, you guys got to get this approved. Are we going to agree to this salary article and not mess with 28?
With the salary article as amended, as I suggested, okay? So it's not we have to tweak
I
it
know.
such that it's the 3%, no other formula.
Right.
That's what would apply to the 2,000 bonus, the 3.5, and the 2%, okay?
Right.
If you have an average evaluation, you get all the money. That's it.
Right.
All that.
And
3%,
no,
10%.
and there's no,
That
And
would
no
be
contingencies.
part of the deal.
5.5% increase.
It's nearly $19 million.
And we would also be willing to add, so that you can discuss it with your constituents, that a certain percentage, I say 15% of the 1% would be, to the extent practicable, used to address compression inversion issues.
And so that's the
Well,
proposed.
Yeah,
okay.
but what is it practical?
We've had that language before.
I know it is terrible language. We like
That's what it would be.
waiver language.
That's what it would be.
But it does require an explanation if you put that in. What is the,
Well, we would explain to you why we didn't do it in this case.
Well, what we would like is you can't use any of the other ADI unless you use that amount.
We're not gonna agree
You're not
to
gonna
that.
agree to that,
Because
no.
there's too much.
That's what we call revenue.
No, ain't gonna do that.
Okay.
And that way you can explain to your constituents, they told us, they've heard us. The university has told us that there's an issue that they will look into, and we've actually put some language
Can
into
you
the
give us 5
agreement
minutes?
to address the
Yeah, I'll get it.
compression
Okay.
inversion. Okay, which we've never had that. There was one page.
Oh, yeah. You,
I increased it. So it should have a dog here. No, it's right.
I signed everything.
Jim.
There's one page. Yeah, but you might just initial it, or this is your.
I'll have him look at
I was
this.
gonna ask him
It's the top.
where, if that was really true, that they had 165 million.
oh yeah, you should have.
Jim.
Yeah. Just have to put in the whole thing.
I have everything.
Oh, I don't know if he's got this.
I think everything else I've signed.
This is our high paid consultant.
That's yours.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll look through
Double
that.
check if yours is right.
Yeah. I won't know what they do.
One of the things I found.
Give me 5 minutes.
Ted, take us off mic.
Okay,
Thank
start
you.
it now?
Buzz me, will you- are you gonna-
Yes, I will.
This is unrestricted. It says how much you guys have.